All right, what's up, y'all? We're here to do a video for this Leo full moon, and as always, I'm trying to not belabor this, but I'm kind of just getting used to how I kind of convey these messages and put this information out there. I love to use the tarot, but my astrology kind of history is way more intimate and lengthy, but astrology is not always so easy to kind of convey the messages, especially for people who don't know or aren't familiar with the terminology and like the astrology jargon. But anyways, we're gonna go into this Leo full moon. I did pull a spread, I took notes, and I took some notes on the actual aspect chart for the full moon before I pulled the tarot. So I'm gonna read through kind of the placements of the planets with this lunation and kind of talk a little bit about how I kind of interpret this or delineate this. I did write two little like paragraphs of notes, and then we'll get into the tarot spread, and of course we're going to end off with the oracle cards. We're going to use the Barbie oracle, and we're going to use the animal spirit. So let's go ahead and talk about this. We're talking about the Leo full moon, which is coming through on February 1st, 2026. I don't know if it is like a different day in other parts of the world, but that's where it is in the United States, on the East Coast, on the West Coast, Pacific time. So yeah, it's Leo full moon on February 2nd. And the kind of keywords that I wrote for this as a whole is thresholds of comfort. And then I also wrote cracking beneath the pressure of expectation, right? Because this is what I feel like what is going on here, where there is kind of an illumination on where you're actually feeling a little bit more separate or feeling a little bit more different from some of the social groups, social identities that we've been, aligned with up until now. So, a full moon is always the moon opposite the sun. So, the moon right now is in Leo, which is going to be opposite the sun in Aquarius, right? So, Leo, Aquarius axis. Leo is your self expression, how you desire to be seen. And then Aquarius is kind of like the observation of that, or the communities, or who is observing your expression and kind of aligning with you through a similar, resonance, right? So with the moon in Leo opposing the sun in Aquarius, our moon being our emotional state, this is really highlighting, really illuminating the emotional kind of difference we're feeling within our communities, within social kind of conditioning or social roles, right? So the moon in Leo right now is us really realizing, hey, there is an authentic piece of me, an authentic part of my identity or way that I desire to express that is in direct opposition with the sun in Aquarius, which is how we feel like we need to show up in order to belong, right? In order to be a part of community and not be kind of like exiled or ousted. This is a really interesting full moon because the moon is the only planet in Leo right now, but we have a heavy stellium of planets in Aquarius. So all of us are really doing this heavy Aquarius energy where we're kind of differentiating, we're kind of observing other people's like identities or personal expressions and deciding where we land in regards to that, right? Whether we see ourselves in alignment with that or whether we see ourselves different from that. But we have the sun in Aquarius, we have Mars, Venus, Mercury also in Aquarius, and we have Pluto in Aquarius, which is where we are really kind of going down to the depths, digging down into the depths of identity politics, community, belonging, structure, all of that, especially socially since Aquarius is an air sign. Aquarius kind of rules the people and Leo rules the individual, right? So with the moon opposing all these planets in Aquarius, this is really highlighting, really illuminated, and really exasperating this like tension between social belonging and individual expression and individual truth. The moon hits Pluto, it hits Pluto, then it hits Mars, then it hits Venus, then it hits Mercury. So opposing Pluto, it's going to highlight that deep, oftentimes subconscious type of energy that we project or we kind of engage with in order to belong, right, in this Aquarius house. So we're going to see that first. Mars is going to be likely some type of pressure that is being pushed onto you, right? Mars is the planet of action, the planet of kind of like doing, severing, cutting, and it's pretty aggressive. So when the moon opposes Mars, like that's definitely the social pressure coming onto you and the tension there to kind of conform or, you know, stand out and express in your authenticity. We hit Venus, which is going to show where certain communities that we have been a part of are actually dysregulating us now, right? Or it plays a role in the dysregulation that we feel because there is likely a part of self, authentic expression that you have to repress, that you have to hold back in order to feel accepted or belonging within this group, right? And so I think there is a highlight or an illumination once the moon opposes Venus where it's just like, you know, this group was giving me some type of social currency and social acceptance, but I'm realizing now that this type of acceptance is really at odds with my emotional truth and my emotional expression. And then moon opposing Mercury. You know, Mercury is communication, it's thoughts, information, commerce. It's the exchange, you know, that goes on, especially like verbally, right? So, you know, I'm curious when the moon opposes Mercury, definitely feels like shifts in ideals where, you know, you're realizing that the tenets or maybe like the social rules within this group is no longer vibing with how you desire to express authentically. So all of these energies in Aquarius are being ruled by Saturn in Pisces right now, which Saturn in Pisces has been dissolving the structures, dissolving the former systems that we have been abetted to up until now. And it is kind of letting go of all of those things that do not really honor humanity, do not really honor like messy life, you know? And because of that illumination with the Saturn in Pisces, it's just like you're ready to let go of any of those things, systems, and social kind of dynamics that have not been honoring your messy truth as a person. You know what I mean? Everything doesn't fit neatly into a box, which I feel like is what Aquarius wants to do. It wants to put it into a category and then determine like what is better, right? What is more progressive and what is of the past or not as evolved. And that type of black and white binary type of approach just doesn't work. It's not real. It doesn't encompass what being a human is. So with that in mind, we're ready to let go of all these places, all these situations, systems, structures, people, social dynamics that are not allowing us to just be ourselves at the end of the day, right? Yeah, so this Saturn, it's sextile Uranus in Taurus, and it is being ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, right? So Jupiter in Cancer is where we have been expanding our awareness through our emotional needs for safety, security, fulfillment, right? And I really feel like, you know, allowing ourselves to really align with these big social ideas that has been keeping us safe emotionally in regards to being included rather than excluded, right? Being within the crowd rather than being ousted or exiled. I feel like a lot of us have been really navigating with this type of mindset that it's better to follow along so that people aren't poking at you and separating you and seeing you as different or less than. And that has kind of diminished your actual true value or your true ability to kind of individuate and see yourself as separate, you know, from a community or culture. So yeah, Jupiter in Cancer. Cancer rules the moon, so that's the loop, right? This Jupiter in Cancer awareness has been really, it's been the source of all of these external shifts and dissolving that has been going on as a collective. So the notes that I wrote here before we get into the tarot spread, I wrote unexpected flip or liberation of values and beliefs that do not or no longer serve our emotional needs and safety. I wrote, where does our community / social identities no longer have the capacity to honor our individual needs and personal desires? Okay, this lunation is really highlighting the tension between social pressure versus individual expression, you know? And I really feel like at this time we might be seeing like situations of people being exiled or ousted from a certain community or a certain identity group, or even people like taking the stand themselves and separating themselves on a large scale from a certain community. I also wrote clearing or confronting the blocks of social conformity. And I also wrote that there is a reflection that's being revealed here with this opposition, right? And it's revealing the uncertainty and discomfort that is stemming from the conformity or the social codependency, right? You feel like you have to be a part of a larger thing, but then the larger thing is becoming something that is not actually reflecting your personal values and not actually supporting your emotional state. So that was the notes that I wrote on the astrology. And then let's go ahead and get into this tarot spread. And I pulled 6 cards, and then I pulled one last card on the bottom as like the last message or last say from spirit. But for this lunation, I pulled the Hermit. I pulled the Ten of Swords in the reverse. I pulled the World card. We've also got the Two of Pentacles. We have the Page of Pentacles. And then we have the Nine of Cups in the reverse. And we'll get into the last card that I pulled later to kind of wrap it up. But first I'm going to kind of look at these in the 2 rows, because I have them in 2 rows of 3. So we'll look horizontally, and then we'll look vertically. And then I also have notes as well for this. But for this first row, we've got this Hermit card, this Ten of Swords in the reverse, and then the World card. And this is really screaming at me in regards to the cycles that are ready to be let go, right? Especially with this Ten of Swords in the reverse. The Ten of Swords, I always say this is kind of the hitting rock bottom, the down and out type of card. And swords represents like your thoughts, your perceptions, kind of the ways that you create meaning out of the world. So when you're hitting the 10, that's the end of a cycle before you start over as the 1. But this Ten of Swords in the reverse is like struggling to have the reset, right? Especially mentally. You know, it's aware that the current understanding and the current mental processing is no longer working, right? It's not serving anymore, but we're still navigating in a way that keeps this type of perspective alive, right? And doesn't let it clear out. And I can tell that it wants to clear because we have the World card, where this is the ultimate, like, closing of chapters, closing of large karmic cycles. So what's going on here, you know, I'm coming back to this Hermit card where this is the self-reflective journey. This is going alone by yourself to the cabin in the woods to realign with like your North Star, right? And your own authentic guiding principles. I think the tension that's really coming through with this Hermit card right now is that we're needing to have this self-reflective period, while also there is a lot of external pressure, a lot of external shifts that are going on that is testing kind of our emotional fortitude in a way, but it's more so about our ability to stay like emotionally regulated, right? Because the Hermit card, this is a very liminal card. Like, you know, it feels in between worlds in a particular way. But I feel like with this Hermit card, you know, contrasting all the things that are happening externally, contrasting those things to our internal heart space and our internal needs and our internal kind of values for life and humanity, we're seeing where our values are no longer in alignment with certain communities or belief systems that we have identified with and stayed in just because they were comfortable, right? We want to be with the crowd rather than against it. I want to read some notes really quick. So for this first row, I wrote, inner reflective process, realigning to your North Star. That's like this hermit energy, right? Kind of taking yourself away from the external pressures so that you can align with something that's authentic to you and authentic to the experience that you desire to manifest or bring in. Realizing the spaces where your present reality does not line up, especially physically and mentally, right? The present spaces that you're in, the present identity or communities that you have been aligned with is no longer lining up with your physical or mental truth and desire, right? Still navigating through the dead meaning or perspective, and I wrote this up. This moment is an opportunity to step through the portal, right? The world card, and close the karmic cycle. And then I also wrote a warning. It's a warning that you can repeat this loop, okay? So I wrote that because we do have this world card here and this Ten of Swords in the reverse where you already know something's dead, but you're still holding on to it, likely because you're trying to just stay within the crowd and not be, ousted. So if you are going to allow yourself to continue to work within these structures or these dynamics or these perspectives, you're going to repeat this pattern with the world card. This could easily go into the reverse and, you're on this ride again until you have this moment in the future once more to step off this loop, step off this fucking Groundhog Day, like bullshit, and so that's the big warning that I wanted to put forward here because I see it, and then, I'll touch into it more when we get into the second row. But I see the kind of reluctance to let go. I see the kind of discomfort to set yourself apart from a larger social community or social identity. But it's kind of just what's needed at this time because it's not allowing you to be you. It's not allowing you to be aligned with experiences and places, communities that are in authentic support of you, that don't need you to completely conform to their ideals and their vision in order to be valuable or in order to be accepted, right? So let's get into this next row where we've got the Two of Pentacles, we have the Page of Pentacles, and then we have the Nine of Cups in the reverse. Okay, so this is another place where I'm seeing a big tension, right? Because this Two of Pentacles is kind of like a juggling energy. It's deciding where you want to invest your time and your energy and kind of commit to growing towards a long-term goal. The thing with the Two of Pentacles, though, is that neither of these perspectives or neither of these options or paths can grow to their fullest potential because you're not committed to either of them fully, right? And usually what goes on with the Two of Pentacles is that there is some type of emotional turbulence that's not quite being honored that keeps you from kind of letting go of one thing and fully committing in the other direction. One of the things that I was seeing with this Two of Pentacles and this Page of Pentacles, because the Page would kind of represent just trying it and planting this new seed, right? With this Page of Pentacles and this Two of Pentacles, it almost feels like in between worlds, right? Or posturing, where it's like you take a chance and plant the seed in a direction that is a little bit more authentic to you, but in that liminal space of kind of waiting for these roots to hold, to take place, or to set in, there is once again that emotional turbulence that some people are having a difficult time just sitting within that. You know what I mean? Just sitting within that emotional discomfort, that emotional turbulence long enough for the new seed to sprout, And so when I see this Two of Pentacles, it really feels like, you know, some of us are taking or trying to plant this new seed, trying to move in this new direction, especially in regards to, you know, values, long-term goals, what we consider to be successful or meaningful. But then while you are in that in-between space where you're the manifestations of the new path haven't yet sprouted, it's like you're still keeping the old world like in your back pocket just to hold on to keep you regulated. And because of that, you're not allowing yourself to keep moving forward. You're not allowing yourself to build up momentum or inertia in this new path and actually get some reward for how you want to shift your values and move towards goals that are in alignment with your heart space. So I feel like, yeah, the liminality with this Hermit card, this Two of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, it's like, hey, like I'm ready to move in a different direction, but I'm too afraid to fully let go of the old, because that the old is what has been keeping me kind of regulated in a particular way up until now. But the old is also dysregulating at the same time, you know what I mean? So that's why you are doing this thing. So that is a big tension that's being held, like not having the, you know, physical reality of the new path available yet, while you are still trying to let go of the old reality, which is familiar and which is what you know and which you've been navigating this entire time. The last card in this row is this Nine of Cups in the reverse, where it's just like, you know what? Even though this type of like old reality or this comfort zone or kind of system that we have navigated up until this time, even though has been keeping us safe in a particular way, we can no longer ignore the emotional dysregulation that has been building up in the background, you know? The Nine of Cups, sometimes they call this the wish fulfillment card, but I usually see it as kind of like the dog in the comic strip where the fire all around them and they're saying this is fine, or kind of that analogy of like the frog in the pot where, you know, if the frog is in the pot and then the water starts boiling, it's not going to jump until it's too late. This Nine of Cups in the reverse is when the water is boiling over and you weren't really attending to it this entire time. But now it can't be ignored, you know? So there is an emotional releasing here. But then back to this warning in regards to like this Ten of Swords that hasn't been cleared out yet. You know, you can have a boiling over moment right now and kind of have a need to separate yourself from a space that you've been. But if you're still navigating with this old type of belief system that it's kind of better to be conforming or better to be a part of a large rather than stand up on your own, you know, with this Two of Pentacles and this Page of Pentacles, you'll plant the seed right back in the old pot, you know, right back in this old pot that was not large enough to hold you to begin with. So this is what's so important in regards to how we're moving forward now. Like, this is your chance to step to that portal. This is your chance to close out that cycle. But I'm telling you, if you're not able to really commit to something that's authentically you, even if it sets you apart from a large social group or a large, you know, social culture, you're going to keep planting your seed into this box that can't contain you, and you're not going to be satisfied, and you're going to, you know, keep going through this pattern of building something, and maintaining it even though it's not satisfying, and then you get into this point where the dam breaks and you can't hold on to this anymore. You know what I mean? You have to tear everything down. So let's look at the notes that I wrote for the second row. I put posturing 1 foot in the past and 1 in the present, aka the future, right? The present and the future kind of exist at the same time. Like, I don't necessarily believe that the future is happening, but your present is creating the future at the moment, right? So This one foot in the past is the old value systems that you still keep in your back pocket. And then the one foot in the present slash future is this new direction that you desire to commit to, that you have been having such a hard time with the liminal space that, you know, you just fall back on the old to keep yourself emotionally level or regulated. Holding on to the old truth because that was what held you through dysregulation. Difficulty remaining in the stillness of a new value investment as we wait for the new roots to take or settle in. There's no more ability to let the feelings stir underneath the surface. Right. So from here, we're going to kind of go down vertically. And I'm kind of just going to read the notes that I wrote. Right. So looking at this Hermit card with this Two of Pentacles, I wrote, seeing the contrast between personal definition of meaning versus social definition or pressure. Where you commit your time and resource is a choice. It is energetic as well as it is mundane. So yeah, with the Hermit card, you're kind of realigning to your North Star, and pairing this with the Two of Pentacles, it's like a realization that, you know, the decisions that you make every day, even though they're small, they're very large. You know what I mean? Like this small decision to honor your capacity and your true need seems small in the moment, right? But after you keep moving down this path, building up inertia, building up momentum, kind of committing to your truth and committing to a value system that is completely individual and personal, like that's when it becomes this big spiritual kind of shift, right? Because you're no longer needing to look outside of you to find the path. It's all inside of you. You know what I mean? It's all inside of you. So you realize that, you know, every decision that you make on the ground here in your 3D reality is in service of these longer term goals of meaning and purpose that is personal rather than collective, right? And then you no longer have to cross-reference these things that you are building towards with what other people think is meaningful or good or successful. Let's see. This next row, we've got the Ten of Swords reversed and the Page of Pentacles. I wrote, the desire and will to build and planting a new seed of potential. What beliefs do you hold as your guiding principles when you decide where to focus your investment? Is the new goal in service to the former structure of safety, right? So once again, kind of that energy of differentiating yourself from a community or a culture. Like, we're needing to plant a new seed, right? We're needing to commit our time and energy in a new direction. But you need to make sure that you are actually clearing out this old belief system before you plant this new seed. Because if it's not cleared out and you're still navigating with the old dead system or awareness, I promise you, you're going to find yourself back in this same space. Okay, let's look at the World and the Nine of Cups in the reverse. The emotional repression of deep need and fulfillment reaches a peak. The dam breaks and the waters overflow. A much needed releasing and clearing. When the cups have been emptied, it's your choice which reservoir you will refill, which reservoir you'll use to refill your heart space, right? So, with this Nine of Cups in the reverse, you know, this kind of dam breaking, emotional climax, emotional peak moment, it's a big clearing, you know what I mean? So no matter what happens right now, you are clearing all these old, like, stagnant emotions that have not been dealt with or have not been tended to on a regular basis. And then, you know, once that is emptied, like, you get ready to fill it again. How are you going to fill it? Are you still looking for that external validation, or are you filling it with something that is just real for you and fulfilling and satisfying and nurturing for you? So from here, then I pulled the last card, which was kind of the overall message on what is going on here for us. And I pulled the Nine of Wands. So if you're familiar with this is the PTSD, like, Wounded Warrior card. It is hypervigilant. It's very defensive. It's the energy that comes through when you're feeling tense or activated or triggered, which I don't care for that word. But what happens here with this Nine of Wands is that, we become tense, and because of this tension, it is very easy to kind of lash out and react in the old ways to kind of soothe this, you know what I mean, on the surface. But really what's happening is Spirit is asking you to sit within this discomfort so that you can meaningfully respond to the situation, right? If you can do that, you then move from the Nine of Wands to the Ten of Wands, where you're able to let go of these energetic weights, energetic burdens on your shoulder, in regards to like how you show up within your expression and within your desire or your passion. So what did I write? I wrote, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Persevere through discomfort and hypervigilance. How do you respond to triggers intentionally rather than react to quickly regain an image of safety, comfort, belonging, or familiarity? Right? So that is the big message, the big tension as you are trying to, differentiate yourself or individuate and separate yourself from kind of a group consciousness, a kind of social culture that doesn't have enough space for your authenticity, It's like you have to be conforming into this group in every single way. And if you don't mark one of those boxes, bye, you're exiled, bye, you're gone, you're not a part of us. So yeah, this is the tension. Like, if you're trying to differentiate yourself and then you're kind of starting to get that pressure socially, like, do you just drop your authentic need, drop your authentic expression in order to feel safe and familiar and comfortable within this group? Or do you finally say fuck it and, realize that if you allow yourself to step away from this and be an individual, like, you actually get your needs met and you actually get to express yourself authentically, and you don't have to compartmentalize your truth, you know what I mean? Compartmentalize your own personal values just so that, other people can think that you're cool or think that you're one of them or whatever. So that's the notes that I took with the tarot and just looking at the chart. And I wanted to finish off with the Oracle cards. So we're going to pull one from the Barbie Oracle, and then we're going to pull one from the Animal Spirit. So we're going to start with the Barbie Oracle and see what Barbie energy is coming through for us as a collective at this moment. Any energy we need to know and be aware of through the Barbie Oracle to help us stay grounded at this time through these transitions and through this pressure of individuation. So let's see what Barbie Oracle card is most relevant. Okay, day to night Barbie. Whoa. I don't know what the guidebook says about this, but the first word that came into my mind was code switching, or like the first thought that came to my mind. So let's see what it says. All right. Day to night Barbie. All work and no play makes Barbie, well, not Barbie. There's no denying our favorite doll is ambitious and hardworking, but she knows how to have fun too. Case in point, Day to Night Barbie. Inspired by the working women of the 80s, Barbie defined the pink power suit. She effortlessly transformed her signature business look into fab cocktail attire for a night on the town. Hit your deadlines and get that well-deserved promotion, but don't forget to celebrate those achievements before moving on to your next goal. You've earned it. This is interesting because I really think that this is about kind of inhabiting the spaces of, kind of social inclusion when you need to, And then, when you're done with that, go back to being you. You know what I mean? It's almost like the social culture, the social aspect of it all is the space that you have it during the day. But at night, it's like you still step out of this type of group dynamic to be yourself. So I think that is kind of what I am seeing with this day to night Barbie type of energy. It's okay to be a part of the crowd sometimes and to, have some type of camaraderie there. But at the end of the day, you still need to like step out of that and honor your personal like individuality that is not neatly fitting into these social categories or these social boxes. So that was Day to Night Barbie. And then we're going to pull one from the animal spirit to close this out with the final message. All right. What animal spirit is coming through for us as a collective for this Leo full moon? Any energy we need to know, be aware of, or possibly embody with the animal spirits? Please and thank you. All right, from the animal spirits, we've got the bat. I've pulled this card many times as I've used these for readings, but I can never fully remember what the interpretation says. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the book and let's read for the bat. If you're familiar with this deck and booklet, you know that these are not in order. Okay. The bat. Darkness, letting go. Death leading to rebirth. Before emerging, the bat waits for the sun to set and the moon to rise. In the darkness, it can see all that was invisible in the daylight hours. The bat is a master of the subtle senses, of the underlying forces that cause some things to prosper and others to fade. The bat card shows up to signify the ending of a chapter, the closing of a door. The bat comes swiftly, encouraging us to move on. In just a few hours, a new day dawns, no more lingering in the past. So when it's in balance, it accepts, it adapts, and it adjusts. When out of balance, it refuses to let go and it reminisces. To bring to balance, watch the sunrise. Okay, this is exactly what was coming through with the tarot spread, where it says when the bat is out of balance, it refuses to let go and it reminisces. And I think that is what is going on here with, some individuals who feel like it's not safe to step outside of the groupthink or step outside of the social conditioning. Let's see. Before emerging, the bat waits for the sun to set and the moon to rise. That is definitely giving full moon energy, where I feel like this full moon is this sun setting moment where now you can kind of see all the things that were pressuring you to move in certain directions that you weren't quite fully conscious of, right? You're kind of moving in these ways because that's how everybody else is moving. But then when the light fades, you see all the underlying forces that has been, what does it say? It says causing some things to prosper and others to fade. I feel like that is really in regards to showing up and engaging in a social context and engaging with the social structures and systems that we're used to. You know what I mean? Those were the things that were prospering, and what was fading was your authentic expression. What was fading was your ability to kind of just show up as you are and be accepted as you are. So that is coming to light, right? And when you become aware of this, it says the bat moves swiftly, encouraging you to move on. In just a few hours, a new day dawns, no more lingering in the past, right? Yeah. It's time to close the door in regards to all the goals that you thought you were supposed to work towards and build and manifest. And watch the sunrise, which is you know, your authentic ego desire is starting to come through, and asking to be honored and asking to be acknowledged. So that is what I have for the Leo full moon. I think I did a pretty decent job going through this, you know. So if you like this, definitely give me a like, do the share, do all the stuff, you know, that you're supposed to do on social media. Like I say, I'm always so bad at this, but if other people can kind of help me and, you know, help me get more traction on these videos, that would be amazing. But yeah, I hope that this was helpful for you for this full moon that's coming up. Yeah, let me know what's going on for you in the comments, and I'll definitely see you next time for, you know, whatever content comes next. I literally don't know. But yeah, I'll see you. See you next time.